I'm having so much fun with you.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good. I'm going through a lot, and I'm trying to find moments where I could be by myself, but wherever I am, I'm in her space. In certain points, it can feel suffocating.
When I saw her and we met for the first time in the real world, she walked in the room and I was like, oh, wow. And I felt this warm feeling.
If Kwame had the chance to be with Micah before ending up with Chelsea, the way Zach had the chance to be with Irina before ending up with Bliss, Kwame would be as sure about Chelsea as Zach is about Bliss. But right now, the thought of Micah for Kwame is like an itch on that part of the back that you can't reach. He just can't let it go. He can't stop thinking about her. And that's why he's unsure about Chelsea. Even at the bachelor party, literally a night before the wedding, he still doesn't know if he wants to marry her when his friends ask him.
Just to make sure, you are marrying her. You are saying yes, right?
Carl, versus that sure, calm, unshakable peace that Zach has when he's looking at Bliss. It's palpable, it comes off the screen. My God, it's so beautiful. And I think that's because Zach was able to get Irene out of his system. And it really makes me think why second marriages are more successful than the first ones. Because you have more space in your heart to accept the other person for who they are, because you know what else is out there. Because you've already followed that damaged side of your gut and your instinct. Because what happens a lot of times, we confuse that spark and that heat and the drama for your gut instinct. But if you have so many unhealed wounds, your gut instinct is off. And speaking of gut, I continue to be in awe of Bliss and her ability to put aside her pride and truly follow her gut, because it's so clear that she and Zach are meant for each other.
And he's very honest, and I just feel like I can really trust him.
I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, because his current status with this full beard makes me want to pause, but I hope they still ended up together, because as far as what we can see, they are so good together.
So I really deeply admire him.
And I think that's because Bliss is not repressing or suppressing that part of her that is upset with him for having chose Irina first. She still jokes about it, she still brings it up, but without bitterness and resentment. She makes sure to remind him that I know that's what happened, but I still choose to be with you.
No, I do love you. I wouldn't have said yes to you proposing to me after you were engaged to another woman. Anyway, I bring that up a lot. It's kind of I joke about it a lot, but it's true though.
When I look at Zach and Bliss, I can't help but think of that Japanese art of kintsukuroi, which is the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. It's also the art of understanding that the piece becomes more beautiful for having been broken.
Sometimes life is stupid that way.
It's about owning the damage that has been done and still moving forward, instead of pushing it down and pretending it's not there, which is what Kwame and Chelsea do.
It's honestly the healthiest thing I've ever had. His mom would prefer for him to, marry a traditionally Ghanaian woman.
Have you talked to her at all?
I'm getting married!
Unlike Bliss, Chelsea is diving in headfirst with no goggles on. Hell, she's not even diving. She's crashing into Kwame. Jesus. The girl is, dignitized. She's getting that good Ghanaian D, honey. But we're gonna talk about Chelsea's fetishizing of Kwame a bit later on as we compare her approach to Bliss's more measured, thoughtful approach. And by the way, even though Bliss is measured and thoughtful, she's still very romantic towards Zach. The way she looks at him, the way... Oh my God, the love between them. Ooh. And joining me this week, or popping in for a little bit, is Anna Runkle from the Crappy Childhood Fairy, who knows a thing or two about doing things more peacefully the second time around. Anna is on her second marriage, and she has a few things to tell us. So Anna, what's your take?
One day I really hope to have a lot of knowledge about that. I've been with we just had our 8th anniversary, and you finally get to experience love that is there whether there's sex or not. And I guess that's for me right now. There was a time when my biggest concern of my soul was to find the one, be with him, date him, marry him. And now I get to move on to these new aspects of feeling love. I'm trying to be brave enough to do great things with my art and with my business. Like the work that I'm doing right now comes right out of my soul. It's what I was meant to do. And I get really hung up on stuff. I feel too old and ugly to get on the video, or I get some hate mail and I feel like I should pack it in and forget about it. And he's always there trying to just help me believe in it.
Hey you guys, it's me in denial, your favorite drag therapist, the only drag therapist on the internet. By the way, before we get into this week's video, I want to tell you that I'm doing one drag therapy night here in Amsterdam on April 28th. I'm linking the tickets and info about the event below. And I'm also playing it 4 times at the end of May in Brighton. I'm also linking that below. And as I always say, I'm in denial, so you, Chelsea, can wake up.
I'm in a dream. It feels like a fairy tale.
Wake up! Yeah, watching this latest batch of episodes, the takeaway for me was the difference between Zach and Bliss's relationship and Kwame and Chelsea's relationship. Here you have certainty and calmness and peace, and there you have a lot of confusion. Zach emanates peace and joy when he's talking about Bliss. At every turn, he makes sure to remind everyone and himself and her about Bliss's character and who she is and why he loves her.
The thing that I love most about Bliss is not her intelligence or her beauty, it's her character. It makes it so easy to sacrifice for you.
Even when he's acknowledging the doubts, there must be, because there are doubts in every relationship. There was one point where he was talking to his sister and he's talking about the doubts. He still makes sure to say, you know what, I'm done guessing. Because he's actually tried everything else. He's tried Irina. He's followed that bad side of his gut.
Do you feel like you really know her?
I do. I know who she is as a person.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. I'm done guessing what the reason is for things.
Versus Kwame, who's still overthinking everything.
Last night you were like, you had this large kind of like looming idea that like our marriage is gonna be like really like hard and like laborious, and which there will be tough moments.
I know that it's not a prediction. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm overthinking everything.
Even at the beginning, when they're still in the honeymoon phase, not even the honeymoon phase, they still haven't got married. And he's talking about, oh my God, I need my pockets of peace. I have no way of escaping you. Like, Jesus, the relationship hasn't even started and you already want to escape.
There's no pocket of this moment in which I can like just go hide away and have my little peace. There's no pockets for me.
Yeah, he's out here talking about escape, and as Chelsea telling him how much fun she's having. Yeah, every time you see Kwame with Chelsea, you feel like he's in a prison, like he wants to escape, like he's suffocating, like always with these sighs. Like when they're walking to her family's place and she asks him, are you excited?
I'm excited. Are you?
Yeah, I'm excited, I'm pumped.
Ooh, you're very pumped. Side note, by the way, at that bachelor party when the burlesque dancer comes out and Kwame's like, oh, I can't look. Girl, you're eye fucking Micah every time you see her. Now you can't look.
All right.
I can't look too long, you know what I'm saying?
Fuck out of here, girl. And when I watch Kwame and Chelsea, I can't help but think of that American psychologist, John Gottman, who created the Gottman method with his wife, Julie, of 50 years. He says that contempt is like sulfuric acid to love. Nothing erodes a relationship faster than contempt. And what is contempt? Contempt is the eye rolling, the name calling, the imitating the voice, the mocking. And it usually starts with low level kind of contempt, like eye rolling. Like when Chelsea takes Kwame to the clothing store and they're shopping. John Gottman says that contempt is the biggest predictor of a relationship failing. Yeah, Gottman created the Gottman method with his partner Julie after observing couples for 50 years. And it's an evidence-based therapy they did after researching all those couples. And the takeaway is that satisfied couples have positive interactions that far outweigh the negative ones. And positive interactions aren't necessarily these big, sweeping, romantic gestures that are based on nothing real, which is what Chelsea loves.
Kwame and I are extra, and we get to be that together for the rest of our life. And I love that for me.
True positive interactions are paying attention to the bids your partner makes for what's important to them. It's paying attention to what matters to the other person. And Zach and Bliss are so good at that.
What made him stand out for you?
I know. Where do I begin?
I want to know.
There's a lot of strength in someone to be able to like choose to, do certain things when it'd be easier to maybe go a different way.
She is driven and she's fierce. I mean, there's not many women who dream of being on the moon at age 60. I don't think there's anyone else that I could make a bigger impact in the world with by my side.
They're paying attention to the interests of the other person, their intellect, their character, their personality, and they are just beaming with happiness when they look at each other. Oh my God, it's so cute. And this is where the difference is really jarring whenever Kwame and Chelsea come on the screen, who don't really listen or pay any attention to each other.
Today was a really, really tough morning for us. And stop smiling.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm smiling.
I don't know why you're smiling
You're
either.
hella cute. I can't look at your face.
And don't you worry, we're still gonna talk about how Chelsea fetishizes Kwame. We're gonna get to it. Hold on. hold on, girl. And also in that same scene when they're at the clothing store, Chelsea basically tells him what's important to her. Basically, she wants a husband who keeps telling her how hot she is. That's her love language. But he doesn't even pay attention to that. When she tells him, could I look any hotter?
Do you think I could possibly get any hotter? Yes or no?
Nope.
He's repelled by her. But you know what? Like, Chelsea, she's on a good one. She's orgasming to another galaxy because love is not blind. Chelsea is blind. I don't know how she can't see it. Yeah, when these two interact, it's like each of them is in a different scene, in a different movie. Versus the attentiveness and the thoughtfulness whenever Zach and Bliss interact. And you really see it, even when they're talking about difficult stuff, like when Zach is telling Bliss's mom about having dated Irina before ending up with Bliss. Yeah, he's honest, he's transparent, he keeps his cool.
It's important to me that if we get married, that I have a good relationship with her family. I ended up in a situation where I had to choose between two girls that I'd never actually met.
You're just telling them everything.
I mean, might as well, right?
In fact, everybody in that scene is gentle. Even the sisters, who are like, when they're pushing him or when they're drilling him, like Bliss's sister is reminding him of Bliss's worth.
She is worth more than gold. She is like one of the most important people in my life.
Like they're all just open. There's an ease to the scenes when Bliss and Zach are there. And even when Bliss's mom is pushing Zach to hear more about that story with Irina, she's still gentle as she does it. She says, keep going, I want to hear more.
So it's really awkward talking about
That's
it.
okay.
Yeah, we want to know.
Go ahead.
Keep going. Keep going.
And because she knows it's a difficult subject for her daughter to hear, she remembers to gently touch her daughter.
I ended up having feelings for two different women at the same time. There was all this uncertainty.
And even when she brings up the fact that it must have been hurtful, she still does it in a calm way that's not judgmental towards Zach.
It was a hurtful thing, I'm sure. No one wants to feel second best. You know, Bliss would not be holding your hand if she did not truly love you.
Also, can we talk about how cute Bliss's mom is? My God, she's like a Care Bear, teddy bear, Teletubby. She's like sunshine and joy in a bag of skin. Can we make a keychain version of her and just carry her around? You know what? A stuffed toy version of her so I can hug her till the pain goes away. My God, this woman is so cute. When Bliss's sister is telling Zach about Bliss, like she's our princess, her mother's like, yeah, she's our princess.
She's our princess. She's our princess.
Now let's compare that to when Kwame goes to meet Chelsea's family, who are, by the way, just as delusional as she is. And Kwame is so repelled by her, it just keeps coming out in these passive-aggressive way. Like, oh, they're all, as loud as Chelsea.
They're a loud family with a lot of energy. So it's just basically a bunch of Chelseas.
And by the way, the only person who's not delusional is Chelsea's niece. Did you notice that part where the grown-ups are telling the two nieces to hug Kwame? And the girl's like, after they get married, I'm like, let's see if this works out. She knows. Kids know what's up. You know why? Because their mind isn't tarnished by the conditioning and the bullshit. They can still see.
Like a fist bump or a hug or whatever, that's fine, okay?
High five?
High five.
Love
Okay.
it.
Hopefully he'll be part of the family.
And that's when I can hug it.
Oh, that's
Tough audience.
And we need to stop and talk about Chelsea because I was on board until this latest batch of episodes. Because, I still love her. I think she's sweet, she's kind. But girl is, she's not just in denial. Subscribe. The level of delusion. Chelsea, honey. That thing over there, your dignity, yeah, go get it.
Okay, you gonna feed me a strawberry?
Yeah.
Tell me how much you love me.
Oh my God, the sex must be good. And she keeps talking about he loves me for me and I've been waiting for this my whole life.
This is me, and he loves me for me, so it's us.
She hasn't listed any characteristic, anything that he makes her feel or to tell us how he sees her. All she actually talks about is his physical appearance.
How can this beautiful, perfect man be mine?
Or when she was at the bachelor party, when all the girls are talking about, oh, strippers are coming. She's like, my man is hotter than any stripper.
If there's strippers tonight, my fiance is 10 times hotter than every single stripper that we're gonna get.
How can this be real?
It's not, honey. It's not real.
That's not love. And that's why it doesn't feel like love, because it's not.
Yeah, unlike Bliss, who mentions very concrete things about the man that she loves, versus Chelsea, who the only time, by the way, she's ever mentioned anything other than Kwame's looks was when she talks about his talents as a singer, when he serenaded her with that song, when she's telling her family about that song that he wrote for me.
So he totally serenaded me in the pods. And
Oh my God.
We made up a song.
he made it for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
She said that we gon' have to wait a couple days, but I just wanna show her now.
Oh.
And in that song, he's literally talking about her needing some more time to think about it. Yeah, Chelsea never needed time. Chelsea was all in from the very beginning. So that song was not about you, honey. It was about Micah. And by the way, the biggest proof that there's nothing between Chelsea and Kwame other than actual physical intimacy and heat and sex is when they do that weird photo shoot.
This is our engagement photo shoot.
Oh, really? Okay. Fantastic.
Yes. As a little girl, I always pictured doing a photo shoot with my fiance, with my husband. This has been like a weird fantasy for me my whole life. I wanted to show him off. I want him to be proud to show me off, and I feel really like at peace and happy.
By the way, a little side note about Kwame. At that photo shoot when he shows up and he's like, I don't know, I'm gonna need some time to be comfortable with the cameras around. Even Chelsea looks at him like, really?
I know it's gonna take a little time to build the comfort in front of the camera, so.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
You've been filmed with a film crew for a whole month. Now you're uncomfortable with the cameras? Also, he couldn't wait to take off the clothes and show off the body, which is a nice body. I mean, he's sculpted and everything's perfect, but girl, you're very comfortable. Speaking of which, by the way, not only does she fetishize him, he fetishizes himself. When he talks about like one of the reasons why he doesn't want to move to Seattle is because he can't do the shirtless jogs.
Listen. My April to my August are shirtless jogging months.
He keeps bringing it up like the shirtless jog.
Shirt off, run, ba 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 ba.
Like, is that your reason for not wanting to live with the woman that you supposedly love? Is because you can't do shirtless jogs? Like, what? By the way, there's nothing wrong with fetishizing yourself or... I mean, it's actually very hot when you're objectified, when you're consenting, of course, because that's, being an object of desire is part of, like, what makes good sex. But something about the way Chelsea looks at Kwame and talks about him, it's like she sees nothing else. In the beginning of a romance, you have all these chemicals running through your body. You're essentially high. Everything your partner does is magical. You have rose-colored glasses on. You're attuned to the magic of the moment, and your system is flooded with dopamine. So you're actually high. But you can't go on forever like that. You'll die. Eventually, you have to dial it down. But Chelsea is still not ready to dial it down.
You know that feeling when you're a kid and you wake up and it's like Christmas morning and you're so excited and you just want to jump out of bed and run downstairs, and that's what I felt this morning, but like 100 times. That's my bouquet.
Girl, didn't you hear Miley's song?
I can buy myself flowers.
But this state of hypnosis that Chelsea's in, I think it's because those traits that she always dreamed of in her ideal man, she never actually wrote them down or thought of what they are clearly.
I have such a hard time describing the feeling. Just because of the love is so overwhelming. Look at my bouquet, you guys.
I know, it's incredible.
So when a guy like Kwame came into the picture and she had that, good heat, physical heat, she was completely blinded and she doesn't remember what it is that's actually good for her. So I think it's very important for us to be aware of what we look for in a life partner before we start dating so that we're not clouded. And Anna has a couple of words about that.
I know you wrote down, like, what do you really, really want? Before some guy is already like clouding your vision and you're changing what you want to fit what he is, you have that reference. And so now this is like this joyous period where you get to see who shows up and you can enjoy people even though they're not the one, but you don't give your heart. You just don't give your heart. You don't get too entangled.
But Chelsea's definitely entangled. Unlike Zach and Bliss, who have the benefit of hindsight, of having tried something else. So their approach is still very sober. They have love between them, but it's very grounded in reality, and they still ask critical questions.
Do I love you in a way I've never loved anyone else before? But yeah, I mean, it's just... It's like forever.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
The reality is, like, at some point, we're going to have to take a leap of faith if we're going to do this.
And I think this quiet confidence, this calm energy that Bliss has is because she knows Zach is not interested in anybody else. Because she knows he tried it with Irina and it didn't work.
I'm not looking at anyone else.
Well, I'm not concerned about you looking at anyone else. It's more like I want it to feel fully right to you because you owe that to yourself and to me.
And this certainty and the confidence that's in both Bliss and Zach allows them to even stand up for each other, even when people are asking difficult questions, like that scene when they meet Bliss's dad. For me, that's such a beautiful scene, even though Bliss and her father are butting heads. And by the way, they're a little bit similar to each other, even though they probably neither of them wants to admit that.
I know you're happy, but don't fool yourself, you know? People take marriage lightly. We all know that nowadays. I mean, people get married, they get divorced.
We both are like, let me just say this really quick, Dad. But like we talked about that for a long time.
But go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, finish. No,
I already lost it. Go ahead.
Obviously, you and Mom are divorced, and that impacted me very heavily. And it's something that I don't ever want to participate in any capacity at all.
But what's beautiful about that is that Bliss's father is really concerned for her. But Bliss is very intelligent because she knows how to bring him back. Like that time when she brought up the similarities between him and Zach.
What he's gone through in his life, like it was very similar to your childhood in a lot of ways. And so that should speak volumes to you.
They didn't tell us details, but I think Bliss's dad also lost his mother when he was young. Because at that scene, he just kind of quieted down. And you really see Zach's confidence when Bliss's dad is pushing him about like what his parents think. And he says, well, my mother's dead, so she doesn't have any thoughts. I love the sass and the confidence.
What do your parents think about this?
Well, my mother's passed away, so she doesn't have any thoughts.
And it's such a far cry from the fear that Zach had previously. Remember in the pods when he was telling Bliss that he's just so afraid that his future in-laws would be not accepting of him.
My dad, like, he's not like any of my exes at all.
It makes me nervous. I've had that happen to me before.
Yeah.
Where someone's family would judge me because of how I grew up.
Compared to now, when he can clearly see that Bliss's dad is not really warming up to him and he's still standing up. And I think that confidence comes from knowing that you have a partner who's really into you. By the way, that scene started off really awkward when Bliss's dad was kind of like trying to find some common ground and he was asking Zach about fishing and golfing.
I don't know if you ever fished, but...
I'm not very skilled at fishing, unfortunately. But I'm always open to learning.
Do you golf? No?
No, not good at golfing either.
And then when Zach started talking about the things that interest him, the law, he went into this kind of like whole speech. Even Bliss's stepmom just got up and left, and Bliss's dad is clearly not interested, but he still kept going. By the way, there is a touch of, I don't want to diagnose, but like, is Zach on the spectrum? I don't know, girl. I don't know. I say it with a lot of love because something about the way this intense eye contact he has, and even as he's like eating food, he's always like, it reminded me of that show also on Netflix, Love on the Spectrum. I don't know. I'm not diagnosing. I'm just saying. Girl, calm down. And speaking of Bliss's dad, it's so interesting to me because you can clearly tell that Bliss is half her father, half her mother. That fierceness, her ability to stand up for herself clearly comes from her dad because he's the feisty one. And that warmth and tenderness comes from her mother. And it really makes me think of all of us that we are literally half our dad, half our mom, which is kind of, I'm stating the obvious. But when you really think about your own personality, you're literally half those two people. It kind of makes you love your parents. I mean, for better or worse, they both probably gave you something negative, but they also gave you a lot of positive. And I just think it's beautiful. It made me like her dad more. But back to the couple who isn't doing so well, Kwame and Chelsea, whose every interaction turns to negative even when there's nothing. The call is coming from inside the house, Sydney. No, but seriously, let's go back to that Gottman method because what John and Julie have done is they've observed couples for 50 years, right? So they've observed those interactions, they've codified them, and they distilled them down to a set of skills that could predict longevity. And they came up with this 5-to-1 golden rule that a healthy relationship, a satisfied couple, is one where they have 5 positive interactions to 1 negative one. I think in the case of Kwame and Chelsea, it's the other way around. I mean, actually, I haven't seen 1 positive interaction. Even when they're doing something happy, like cleaning the dog in the previous episodes, it's like it turns into a drama. Kwame is always catastrophizing everything. He's always trying to find a problem. Like that scene, like the day before the wedding, where he's just predicting that this year is going to be a year of misery. And even then, Chelsea manages to bring him back. Like, dude, we can't predict which year is going to be toughest.
I think I see like more of a wholesome picture and want you to see like the joy. Like we haven't even had like the best moments and days of our lives.
Yeah.
I see it as a much more of a positive journey.
Which reminds me of that scene earlier in the pods, before they even met, where she's like, I don't want to be the one leading that marriage. And she's still here leading that marriage.
I can't lead our entire marriage.
And another example of how everything turns to negative, when they were at that clothing store shopping for clothes and Chelsea was beaming, she's like, do we have to wait another week? Like, I want to do it today. He's all like bringing up her confrontational tone from earlier in the morning. Apparently when they woke up, he asked her, are you okay? She's like, do I look okay? Clearly she was stressed about the wedding, nothing to do with him. She doesn't even remember.
So I ask you, hey, how are you feeling? Are you okay? What was your response to me?
I don't know.
Yeah, she doesn't even remember that happened. And he's like, oh, but you made me feel and you're confrontational and...
I understand the things, but you don't have to like nitpick every little thing.
I'm telling you how you approach things, how you go after conversations, how you always want to like chase the fight.
Projecting much, honey? And you really see how hard he projects in that scene where he tells her, I just want to make sure that we are both our happiest. Girl, when has she given you an example of her being unhappy? All she is just beaming with happiness at the thought of being with you. But this girl, Chelsea, really needs to open her eyes and see what's happening. It reminds me of that scene from Clockwork Orange where they just force him to watch those movies. I want to sit her down and make her actually watch how he's interacting with Micah. By the way, I'm very curious what she thinks now that the show's out. Like, the clear flirtation that is happening between them. Like, what does she actually think of that? How does she justify it? So what do we take away from all this? I really think we should write down a list of non-negotiables, what we want in a partner before the intoxicating period of sex and romance happens, so that you know for sure this is what you want in a person, and then you can compare. Am I being gaslit? So you know what exactly you want. And second, I think if you come from trauma, chances are you're not going to get it right the first time, because the first time it's not you that's going to be choosing. It's not your gut. It's your wounds that are going to be choosing. You're going to be choosing something familiar to maybe what you watched growing up. So yeah, if you come from trauma, take it easy. The first marriage is probably going to fail. Bloop. No, but seriously, if you come from trauma and you haven't healed that stuff, your wounds and your hurt is what's doing the choice. Because that first relationship is going to be so intoxicating, it's like you're losing your mind. And no one says it better than Jackie.
I don't know if I'm going to be with anybody. Damn, I'm crazy. I need to probably do some self-work.
You and me both, Jackie. You and me both. We all need self-work. And this brings us to the end of another video. Guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you at one of my shows. Links below. And by the way, just a quick one. I'm going to review the upcoming episode about the altars together with the reunion, because they're releasing them only with few days apart. And I don't have time to do two because, girl, I put so much editing and so much psychological work in these videos. So 2 in 1 coming up.